There is a kind of heaviness that has nothing to do with failure or punishment. It sits in your chest quietly, and no one around you seems to carry the same weight. You have wondered if something is wrong with you because the things others handle lightly feel enormous inside you. If that resonates deeper than you expected, subscribe now, because this message may finally explain what you have been carrying. This is not generic encouragement. This is a Christ-rooted look at why certain lives feel heavier from the inside. You have probably spent years watching others move through life with an ease you cannot seem to replicate. Conversations that feel simple for them leave you exhausted, processing every word, every motive, every silence. You feel things at a depth that makes you wonder if your wiring is broken or just different. You have carried insights you could not fully explain, and burdens you did not choose to pick up. People come to you when they are hurting, but rarely ask how you are doing in return. And late at night, when it is just you and God, you have whispered something honest and frightening. You have asked, why does everything feel so heavy, even when nothing specific is going wrong? That question is not weakness, and by the end of this video, you will understand why. What if the weight you carry is not a sign that you are broken, but a sign that you were built to hold more? What if the reason you feel things so deeply is because God placed something inside you that requires depth? Scripture does not promise that gifted lives feel lighter. In fact, it often suggests the opposite. The prophets wept, the psalmist grieved openly, and even Jesus himself was described as a man of sorrows. Perhaps the heaviness is not the problem. Perhaps it has been the packaging around a purpose you have not fully seen yet. Before we assume something is wrong, let us look at what Scripture actually reveals about people who carry more. In Jeremiah chapter 1, verses 4 and 5, God says something that changes the entire conversation. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. That word, set apart, in the original Hebrew, carries a weight most people skip past quickly. It does not simply mean chosen. It means separated, pulled away, marked with a different assignment. And the honest truth is that being set apart often feels less like privilege and more like isolation. Jeremiah did not celebrate when he heard those words. He protested, saying he was too young and too unqualified. God did not argue with his feelings. God simply confirmed the assignment and promised to be with him. That is the pattern. The gift comes first, the understanding comes later, and the weight is part of the design. Sign number 1. You feel things other people seem to walk past without noticing. You enter a room and you sense tension before anyone speaks. You feel the shift before the words confirm it. This is not anxiety alone, though it may have been mislabeled that way your entire life. Scripture calls this discernment, and 1 Corinthians chapter 12 lists it among the gifts of the Spirit. But discernment is not gentle, it is heavy, because it means you perceive what others are protected from seeing. You are never supposed to feel light about everything, because you are given eyes that see beneath the surface. The weight you feel in certain rooms is not a flaw. It may be the gift, working exactly as designed. And the loneliness it creates is one of the most misunderstood costs of carrying spiritual sensitivity. Sign number 2. Your preparation season has been unusually long and unusually quiet. You have watched others get promoted quickly, while your path seems to move painfully slow. David was anointed king and then sent back to the fields to tend sheep for years. Moses spent 40 years in a desert before God spoke a single word about his assignment. Joseph was given a dream and then handed a prison sentence before the dream made any sense. The pattern is consistent. Heavy gifts require deep roots, and deep roots take longer to grow. Your delay is not a denial. It may be the evidence that what God is building in you needs a stronger foundation. If your preparation has felt disproportionately long, it may be because the assignment is disproportionately large. Sign number 3. You have experienced rejection or misunderstanding from people who once felt close. Relationships that used to feel natural began to feel strained, and you could not fully explain why. You did not change into someone cruel, but something shifted, and the old connections stopped fitting. This is one of the most painful dimensions of carrying a heavy gift. It rearranges your relational world. Jesus himself said in Matthew chapter 13, verse 57, that a prophet has no honor in his hometown. That was not a metaphor about geography, it was a truth about familiarity and spiritual assignment. The people closest to your old self are often the least equipped to understand your becoming. You are not being rejected because you are wrong. You may be being repositioned because the gift requires new ground. And grief over lost closeness does not mean you failed. It means the shift was real. Sign number 4. You carry a burden for things most people do not think about twice. Justice, truth, the condition of someone else's soul, the unspoken cry behind a forced smile. You have lost sleep over things that are not technically your problem, and yet you could not put them down. Nehemiah wept over a broken wall in a city he had not visited in years, and then he rebuilt it. That sequence matters. The burden came before the assignment. The tears came before the blueprint. When God gives a heavy gift, the weight often shows up as an unexplainable ache for something not yet restored. You feel it in your spirit before you see it with your eyes, and that is not anxiety, that is intercession forming. The heaviness is not random, it may be directional, pointing you toward the place where you are supposed to build. Sign number 5. Your inner world is far more active than your outer world reflects. You process constantly. You pray more than people realize. You carry conversations with God that no one hears. On the outside, your life may look still, but inside, something is always moving and always being refined. Paul wrote some of his most powerful letters from a prison cell where nothing externally was happening. Elijah heard God, not in the earthquake or the fire, but in the still, small voice inside the quiet. If your outer life feels disproportionately quiet compared to your inner spiritual activity, pay attention. God often does the deepest work in the seasons that produce the least visible evidence. That quiet intensity you carry is not emptiness. It may be incubation, and what is forming inside is not small. Now, a word of honest caution, because this message would be incomplete without it. Not every feeling of heaviness automatically confirms a divine assignment, and Scripture calls us to discernment, not assumption. Sometimes heaviness is grief that needs tending. Sometimes it is burnout that needs rest. Sometimes it is a wound still healing. The goal is not to romanticize every struggle into a spiritual promotion badge. But when the heaviness produces deeper prayer, sharper discernment, greater surrender, and Christ-centered endurance, something is different. When pain makes you more compassionate instead of more bitter, that is worth paying attention to. Discernment means holding space for both realities. It could be pain that needs care, and it could be purpose taking shape. Ask God honestly, and be willing to hear both answers, because maturity lives in that tension. So here is what to do with everything you have just heard. 3 responses that are real and not vague. First, stop apologizing for your depth. Stop shrinking yourself so that lighter spaces feel more comfortable around you. You are not built to be palatable to everyone. You are built to carry what God has placed in you faithfully. Second, begin praying this. God, show me what this weight is for, and give me the grace to carry it well. Do not pray for the weight to disappear. Pray for the strength and clarity to steward it with wisdom. Third, this week, practice one act of honest stillness. Sit with God for 10 minutes with no agenda and no requests. Let the silence do the work. Let your spirit recalibrate and stop performing even in your prayer life. These are not dramatic instructions, but they will shift the way you relate to the weight you carry. And now hear this carefully, because this may be the part your spirit needs the most. You are not too much, you are not too intense, you are not too sensitive, and you are not too complicated. You have simply been carrying something that most people are not asked to hold. And it has cost you. It has cost you friendships. It has cost you sleep. It has cost you the ability to feel light when everyone else does.
But God does not waste weight.
And what He has placed on you is not an accident or a punishment. The same hands that formed Jeremiah in the womb are the hands that formed the ache inside your chest. And the same God who said, "I knew you before you were born," is the one holding you right now. Your heaviness has a name, it has a direction, and it has a God who has not forgotten what He started in you. You do not need to understand the full picture yet. You just need to keep carrying it with faithfulness. Because what feels like burden today may be the very thing that makes your life unforgettable in eternity. God is not finished, and neither are you, and the weight is proof that something real lives inside you. If this message gave language to something you have been carrying silently, leave a comment and simply say, "I carry it." There are others watching this right now who need to know they are not alone in feeling this weight. If this was the kind of content your spirit has been searching for, subscribe now. Kingdom Insight is just getting started. Share this with someone who carries more than they show, because they may need these words more than you know.
The gift is heavy,
but the God who gave it is faithful, and He is not done with what He started in you.